What you're looking at now is the second H3 launch vehicle. It will be launched from Tanegashima Space Center today. The expected launch time is 9:23 a.m. Good morning, live stream viewers. It has been about a year since the last launch. We will be bringing you live images of the launch of the second H3 launch vehicle. My name is Kotomi Mimura from the Public Relations team at Tanegashima Space Center. I will be with you throughout today's launch. I will be with you today again as a technical commentator. My name is Isao Kotani, an engineer at JAXA. 1 month ago, on January 20th, Smart Lander for Investigating the Moon, or SLIM, had landed on the Moon as the first unmanned exploration lander from Japan. It was a great mission. I lost my sleep, but I think that it was good that we were able to show the high-level technology that Japan has, including pinpoint landing. SLIM was launched for the first time in H2A after launch failure of H3TF1. I was happy to see that we were able to successfully launch the SLIM, believing in H2A. I hope that H3 launch vehicle, the second one, will be successfully launched today. For today's live streaming, we have simultaneous interpretation into English. Please use the service by clicking the URL in the description column.
Broadcast is also available simultaneous translation in English. Please refer the link in the YouTube description.
First, let me talk about the live stream schedule. We will first start out with the overview of H3 launch vehicle, explanation of the failure of the launch of the first H3 launch vehicle. It will be followed by introduction of the mission of second H3 launch vehicle. We will show a video interview of Project Manager Okada, followed by the introduction of flight sequences. At approximately 9:23 a.m., we expect the launch to be conducted. 17 minutes from there, at around 9:40, the initial combustion of two-stage engine will be completed. Right after that, is CESat-1E, a small satellite which is piggybacking on the second H3 launch vehicle, is planned to be separated. The main mission is for this launch is orbit injection of the second stage. You will see up to that point in today's live streaming. I think many of you have seen in the live streaming and on the news that at 10:37 and 55 seconds on March 7, 2023, the first H3 launch vehicle was launched from Tanegashima Space Center. However, the second stage engine LE5E3 ignition did not occur because there was no possibility that Daiichi 3 satellite, ALOS-3, which was being carried by the launch vehicle, could be injected into the designated orbit. A distress command was sent to the launch vehicle. The first H3 launch vehicle launch had failed. Since that day, countermeasures were taken and identification of the root cause was conducted, and we were gathered here once again to observe the launch. So since the launch had failed, the root cause analysis had started in less than 8 months until the submission of the report. The H3 launch vehicle project team, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, and other related companies who is in charge of the development, as well as other stakeholders and personnel, had made huge efforts to make today happen. Everyone is very looking forward to this. So before explaining about the reasons for the launch failure in the last attempt, as well as what had happened, we would like to provide you the explanation about the H3 launch vehicle itself. Kotani-san, please. The second launch vehicle, which will be launched today, I would like to talk about its form. The second launch vehicle has the exact same form as the first launch vehicle. So it would not be mounting the satellite. There would be a VEP4, which is looking for the performance identification, and we will be verifying what could not be verified during the first launch. So I would like to utilize this model for the general explanation of the structure of the launch vehicle. The most important portion is this top portion, fairing. Satellite, the probe vehicles will be mounted. VEP4 and two small satellites are mounted. It weighs about 2 to 3 cars worth of weight. And in order to launch this, huge energy is needed, and the energy is generated from the bottom portion. At the very bottom is the one-stage engine, LE9 engine, and there are two of them. The fuel is needed for this engine, and this top portion, the orange portion, this is a tank, the hydrogen tank and oxygen tanks for the first stage. This color change, you would not be able to see this, but within this, there is second stage engine, LE5B3 engine. On top of that is the liquid, the hydrogen and oxygen fuel tanks. At the very bottom, this small white rocket, so SRB3, which is the auxiliary boosters that use solid fuel. So using these engines, it will go to the altitude of around 260 kilometers. And after that, the satellite will be put into orbit. And in the first stage, in the first launch, we were unable to ignite this second engine. So the second stage rocket with the second stage engine plays an important role of putting the satellite into orbit. That's correct. So what is the characteristic of the H3 launch vehicle? H3 launch vehicle is built based on the H2A and other the launch vehicles technology that Japan has been developing. It utilizes various new technologies. The objective is to have the realization of flexibility, high reliability, and low price in payload transport. So it needs to be able to transport everything in safety at a lower cost. So in order to enable the transfer of launch operations to the private sector as a business, development of the launch vehicle was conducted in cooperation with a private sector. So we want this launch vehicle to be used around the world. So what is the characteristic of the appearances? With regards to appearances, so to us it seems very big. So compared to H2A, it's one size bigger. In terms of the total length, it's 57 meters. There are two types of fairings. Short version is 57 meters. The long version, fairing, is 63 meters, a bit longer. So this time, there would be short version usage. So in terms of the idea of high height is, Osaka Castle is approximately 58 meters from the groundwork of the castle tower. So you can see how big it is. So Osaka Castle. So Osaka Castle has 3 floors. So we are trying to make this a huge success for all of us. So it has been 1 year since the failure of the first launch vehicle launch. The team has overcome many difficulties to identify the root cause. We would like to show you now the video which explains about the identification of root cause of failure. On the video, we have the appearance of Mr. Jun Hori, who is a journalist. He asked Mr. Mori, who is in charge of development of JAXA rockets, various questions. The viewers are probably interested in finding out. Please take a look at the video.
皆さんこんにちは。今回ナビゲーターを務めますジャーナリストの堀潤です。さあ今回は試験機2号機の打ち上げにあたって前回の打ち上げを振り返るためにここ種子島に来ています。ロケット発射担当である森茂さんにご案内いただきます。森さんよろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
早速ですがご案内いただけますか。
はい、こちらへどうぞ。
はい。この場所はどういう場所になりますか。
はい、ここはですね発射管制塔、通称我々 LCC と呼んでいますが
ロケットに、燃料を充填したり、あとはロケットの機能試験をしたり、そういった危険な作業を遠隔で行うための建物になります。
当時の緊張をそのままにもう一度振り返ると、どのようなことが起きていったのかっていうのは、もう少し概要を教えてもらってもいいですか。
はい、LE9 に火がついて、でそれから約5秒くらいした後に両側にあります固体ロケットブースターに火がついて、そうすると同時に浮き上がるんですね。で、最初はSRB が燃え尽きて分離し、であと衛星フェアリング、これが大気圏を突入出たところで高度が上がったところで分離し、で一段の燃料が枯渇するまで燃えて LE9 エンジンが無事に停止し、でその後1段ロケットと2段ロケット、ここを切り離しを行います。ここまで、当初の予定通り、ほぼノミナルの計画通りにフライトしていきました。でその後、1、2段が分離した後に2段のエンジンが着火するはずだったんですね。
現在第2弾エンジンの着火が確認されておりません。
ミッション成功する見込みがないということから指令破壊信号を送信しました。
2段のエンジンが着火すると2段エンジンの燃焼圧、中の圧力がぐっと上がっていくんですけれど、そのグラフをずっと見てたんですが予定の時間になっても上がらないと。その2段エンジン着火しなかったというふうに思った時にはこれは打ち上げ失敗なんだというふうに思いましたけれど、何が起こっているのかというのを各系の技術者たちにお願いをして、自分たちの系が打ち上がってリフトオフした後にそのタイミングまでどうであったかっていうのを整理しましょうっていうことをお願いをして、でそうですね、打ち上げ失敗が分かって1時間経たないくらいですかね、くらいのタイミングでどこら辺に、何がきっかけでおかしかったのかっていうところは洗い出すような、そんな時間スケールで作業を進めていきました。
どんなことを洗い出していったのか、原因についてはどういったことを想定しながらその洗い出しというのを当時直後の段階でやられたんですか。
はい、直後から2段エンジンの着火信号、セイグと呼んでるんですけれど、その信号が出たということは分かっていたんですけれども着火しなかった、で、その2段のエンジンに着火するための電源が落ちたっていうことまではすぐに分かったので、そういったのがどういう要因があるのかっていうところを網羅的に見ていきましょうということで、あらゆる可能性、これを洗い出していこうということでみんなで取り組みました。
この現場はどういう場所になり、何をこれから進めていくんですか。
ここは、種子島宇宙センターにある、LP2 第2射点と呼ばれる場所でして、まさに H3 ロケットを打ち上げる射点になります。試験機1号機もここから打ち上げしましたし、試験機2号機もまさにこの射点から打ち上げを行います。
ではここから2号機を打ち上げるに至るまでですが、どういった取り組みをしてきたんでしょうか。
はい、試験機1号機の失敗の後、我々原因究明をさまざまな再現試験などを踏まえて行ってまいりました。その中で最終的にいくつかシナリオこれだというのを絞り込むすることができましたので、今 VAB の中で組み立てているロケットというのもそれらの対策を施したものになっています。政府の委員会にも原因究明の状況を逐次報告しながら、皆さんに分かりやすい形でできる限りお伝えしながら進めてこようということで取り組んできました。はい、お願いします。ここは VAB と我々呼んでいまして、大型ロケット組み立て棟になります。まさにロケットを組み立てる専用の建物ですので、天井も非常に高くなっていますね。
まさにですね。
はい。こちらが H3 用の移動発射台でして、今カーテンに仕掛けてるんですが、この向こうに H3 の試験機2号機があります。すいません。H3 ロケットの一段機体になります。
森さん、いよいよですけれども、さまざまな苦難を乗り越えようやくここまで来ました。振り返ってみると何がどのように改善されたから自信を持って送り出せるのか、いかがですか。
そうですね、我々試験機1号機失敗してから、8ヶ月くらいかけて原因究明の活動をやってきました。最初は何が起こったんだろうっていうところからスタートし、だんだん要因絞り込んでいって、最終的に残ったシナリオに対して全て手を打とうということで設計変更を決めて改良してまいりました。でその改良した機体というのを種子島宇宙センターでもう一度組み立てて、 全部問題なかったかというのを確認して準備を整えてきています。ですのでそういった活動を通じて試験機2号機僕はもう自信を持って打ち上げ臨めるそういう気持ちになっています。
はい、ありがとうございました。
はい、VTR にて
On the video, we had Mr. Mori, who is in charge of the launch vehicle, to talk about the reasons for launch failure for the first 3 launch vehicle. From here, I would like Mr. Kotani to go over further details.
Well, as you saw in the video, the reason for the failure was because the second stage engine failed to ignite. But why did that happen? Well, the second stage engine did not ignite because the supply of electricity to the electrical equipment of the second stage engine stopped. So that was the actual cause. So let me give you a more detailed, easy to understand explanation. So, as you can see in this illustration, this is the enlarged illustration of the H3 launch vehicle second stage engine is electrical system. The electrical system of the second stage employs a redundancy design for second engine propulsion system controller. It is referred to as PSC2, which controls the second stage engine. And so because we have two, even when one breaks down, as long as the other is still functioning, then you're able to still operate the engine. And right at the bottom, you can see the ignition exciter. This is part of the second stage engine. And this is the equipment for creating sparkless electricity to ignite the engine. And the ignition signal did reach here, we know that, but immediately after that, PSC2 detected current anomaly and identified anomaly that the current was too large and stopped the supply of electricity. So that is what had happened. One stopped the supply of electricity. The other also stopped the supply of the electricity. But since both are stopped, the exciter did not function to create the spark, which prevented the engine from being ignited. I see redundancy based on two second stage propulsion system controller, a PSC2, was designed to address failure of one of the controllers. However, because both controllers stopped at the same time, supply of electricity was completely cut off. The second stage engine was considered to be highly reliable with a strong track record. So why did electric current anomaly occur regarding H3 test flight number 1? Well, the engine itself was not a problem. It is highly reliable. But the electrical equipment, with H3, we did actually implement a little bit of a design change, but we know that there was a problem here. And what I've explained before, the second stage propulsion system controller, PSC2, that I just explained about, we knew at quite an early stage that this equipment was the cause of an issue. But specifically, what was the issue? That was quite difficult to identify. And we looked at much the flight data, and we try to make sure that nothing slips by. We've done a lot of testing on the ground, and we gradually narrow down on the cause. In the end, the failure scenario, so we have come up with 3 cases that led to the failure, and we decided to implement countermeasures against all these 3 scenarios in regards to test flight number 2. Regarding the 3 failure scenarios, I understand that 2 related to the exciter and 1 related to the PSC2, so 3 scenarios in total. The first scenario, a failure within the exciter. Could you explain about this? Well, exciter, as I've explained earlier, is an equipment for igniting the engine by producing a spark using electricity. And it is essentially a small container packed with substrates and wiring. And there is a possibility that when the parts were being installed into the container, a part of wiring may have been installed in such a way that it could potentially come in contact with an intended intended location, thereby causing electricity to travel in an incorrect direction. When electricity flows to a different location, it causes large current flow, leading to potential equipment malfunctioning. And of course, we did pre-launch testing, but we were unable to identify this at that stage. But due to vibration, etc., during the launch, the state may have deteriorated and could have caused the failure when the ignition signal was sent. So, to prevent such a scenario, installation of the electrical parts and wirings were enhanced to ensure electricity does not flow into an incorrect location. We also employed X-ray CT inspection after completing assembly to check to make sure that the electricity will not flow in the wrong direction. I see a failure of a component within the exciter result in a large current flowing to the PSC2. Yeah. You said that the exciter is an equipment for producing sparks using electricity. It's like starting up a gas cooker, I imagine? Yeah, that's correct. Yes, the electricity is used to create sparks with the gas cookers as well. Thank you. Well, the second scenario was also related to the exciter. How is it different from the first scenario? Well, second scenario also had to do with the exciter, but this time it related to the transistor within the exciter where short circuiting occurred. A transistor is a component for controlling flow of electricity and used in many types of electronic components that you're using, like smartphones. But the problem was that when the exciter was being checked on the ground prior to the launch, it seemed that voltage beyond acceptable levels were being applied repeatedly. And because of that, the transistor continued to wear, and when it came to the launch, it kind of reached the limits, and it ended up breaking down. As a consequence, caused short-circuiting. In other words, created a situation where large current could flow, and large current the flow caused PSC2 to stop, and it's essentially that kind of phenomenon. To address this issue, and in order to prevent the large voltage from being applied, we have reviewed the design so that kind of phenomenon would not occur. Although the cause is different, the problem was a failure within the exciter, as was the case with scenario 1. By the way, since the same exciter is also used in H2A launch vehicle, the same two scenarios would apply to H2A. Accordingly, same countermeasures have also been adopted for H2A, just as with H3. The third scenario was considered to be unique to H3. Could you explain about this failure scenario? No, the third scenario has to do with something within the PSC2. It's a little bit more complicated. I've talked about the two, and you can see the two system here. Where you can see being marked A, and the component here broke down, and the voltage within this equipment become unstable, and because of that, there is a component called a diode, and was unable to withstand the voltage causing short circuiting, and because of the short circuiting, the current ended up being diverted to B, also causing a malfunction of the device B. And as a consequence, both A and B were unable to supply electricity, and as a consequence, electricity could not be supplied to the exciter that I've explained about before. And the reason for this was the diode short circuiting, so we decided to remove this component. We've checked in advance that it's okay to do so, but by doing this, we have been able to confirm that the same phenomenon would not occur. The equipment in which the problem occurred is different, but it is still short circuiting that is considered to have caused that overcurrent that consequently prevented the supply of electricity to the equipment that was needed to ignite the engine. It makes you realize that so much care is necessary when designing electric equipment. Yes, that's right. H3 has used technologies from the past in the development, and so many equipment or devices are something that we have been using from the past. And when we use them in H3, we need to check again to make sure that there won't malfunction in H3, and to confirm that the same type of phenomena will not occur in the same type of location. And even if there is a problem like with test flight number 1, we have to try to prevent the launch from being stopped. And it's very important to adopt the thinking all the way through in that way. Thank you very much, Kotani-san, for your explanation. I too have seen firsthand the efforts made by everyone involved at Tanegashima here in identifying the cause and implementing countermeasures following the failed launch attempt last year. I was truly able to feel a strong resolve from everyone that are going to identify the cause and make the next launch a success. Kotani-san, I know that you were involved in the work to identify the cause at Tsukuba. Do you have any memorable episode that you may be able to share with us? Well, I was involved in the work in identifying the cause regarding Epsilon 6 as well due to failure there. And I was able to be involved in identifying the cause for H3 as well. And through both of these experiences, I ended up thinking the same thing. And in terms of the investigation of the cause, when you know the result, you just kind of think, so that was the cause. But when you're going through that investigation, there are so many potential candidates. You don't know what are the true cause. And so it's like you're trying to identify a tree in a forest. And so you kind of have to feel your way through. And it's just continued difficulties that you kind of encounter. But engineers testing and doing experiments repeatedly, and they're actually improving their levels on an everyday basis. And they, as a consequence, the engineers become much more stronger, much more capable in coming up with the test flight number 2 on this occasion. And as I say, failure is a stepping stone to success, and this is so true. And whether it be for H3 or for Epsilon, there is no question that failure gave us much experience. Yes, that's true. We have put together a video that looks back over the history of H3 launch vehicle test flight number 2. Please take a look.
So from last year to today, so it brings back a lot of memories. So it seems very long, but it seems short as well. Now, we would like to show you what is going on now in Tanegashima in preparation for the launch today. What you see behind us is the launch pad where H3 launch vehicle is. We are at the Takesaki Observatory, which is approximately 3 kilometers from the launch pad. Let's turn to the weather information that we are all interested in. There is a bit of a cloud, but it's very fair weather. Yes, I think it's good for the launch. The wind is not so strong either. So we would like to give you the information about the meteorology. It is fair, and the speed of the wind is 5 meters, and it's 15 centigrade, and there's no problem with the weather today. So Kotani-san, so we were expecting to have the launch on the 15th, but because of the weather, there was a postponement. So could you talk a little bit about the weather conditions required for the rocket launch? So for launch vehicles, the weather is very important. The strength of the wind, whether there is rain or cloud, how much cloud there is, and also whether there is the electricity or the lightning included. So there is observation from the perspective of meteorology. And so there is criteria that needs to be met, and everything will be checked. On February 15th, the weather was not good. It was cloudy and there was wind, and the status had exceeded the specified value. So the postponement was made to make the launch on a good weather. So thank you, Kotani-san. So let us go to the Launch Control Center, or LCC, that conducts various operations remotely in preparation of the vehicle launch. The center monitors the condition of the rocket at all times and checks the fuel filling as well as other preparations before the launch, done remotely. Currently, the final work is being done for the launch. The Launch Control Center is located 3 kilometers from the launch pad. Why does it have to be that far? Could you talk about it? Yes. As I have explained at the beginning, the launch vehicle uses a lot of energy to go to outer space. Because of this, it carries large quantity of fuel to generate the required energy. Before the launch and right after the launch, safety must definitely be secured, and whatever happens. So at the time of the launch, we cannot get into 3 kilometers within that launch pad. So that's why the LCC is located 3 kilometers from the launch pad. The LCC that we are looking at now is a building that was created for H3 launch vehicle. What kind of work will be performed in the LCC from now? In order to launch the launch vehicle, it is not just pressing the button. Various equipment will be put into operation one by one, including the one on the ground. So the procedure, called the countdown sequence, so the people who are seated here have their own roles and responsibilities, and they will be checking whether everything is okay. The launch conductor, who takes the lead in the process, has the grasp of all of the conditions surrounding the launch. Thank you, Kotani-san. Now, please take a look at the video introducing the mission of the second H3 launch vehicle.
そもそもこの H3 ロケットとはどのようなミッション、どのような特性、何を目指したロケットだということなんでしょうか。
はい、H3 ロケットはとことん運用しやすいようにというところにこだわって作ったロケットです。世界に売り出していくためにも作りやすく打ち上げしやすく、そういった運用を良くしてコストダウンを図っていくっていうところを大切なコンセプトにしてやってきました。
今回打ち上げる H3、ロケット試験機の2号機のミッションについて伺いたいと思います。
はい、試験機2号機なんですけれども当初の計画からちょっと見直してですね、 試験機1号機と全く同じ機体形態で全く同じ軌道にロケットを打ち上げる、こういったミッションになっています。でその目的なんですけれども、H ロケットが所定の、機能性能を果たすということを、確認するというのが一番大きなミッションでして、できるだけ早期にかつ確実に試験機2号機のミッションを達成するために、そのように計画の見直しを行いました。
あと今回はその打ち上げロケットにさまざまなものを載せていきますよね、今回はどういうものを載せていくことになりそうですか？
今回は公募で募りました超小型衛星2機を余剰能力を活用して同時に打ち上げる計画にしています。一つはCSAT-1E と呼ばれる50センチ四方くらいの人工衛星でして、もう一つが TIR-SAT と呼ばれるもっと小さい5キロくらいの少し細長い衛星になります。主ミッションをこなしつつ余剰能力を活用して小型衛星の相乗りもできるようにとして開発してきましたので、早速この試験機2号機でその部分も活用してさまざまな機関ね打ち上げの機会提供できるということは、非常に大切なことだというふうに思いますし、宇宙の利用の場を広げるということがこのロケットのミッションの一つですので、そういった環境を作ることも大切だというふうに思います。
You have just taken a look at the video explaining the mission of second H3 launch vehicle. The main mission for this launch is second stage, an orbit injection. If the second stage is put into orbit and can obtain the data, it's a mission complete for this flight verification. That's correct. The performance must be first checked, and the payload, which is mounted, the payload that for vehicle evaluation payload 4 will be mounted, simulating ALOS 3. It looks very different in terms of the appearance. So it looks like Tsutenkaku tower. The weight is exactly the same as ALOS 3. And the gravity center is also the same as ALOS 3. In addition, there will be 2 microsatellites which are mounted on H3 launch vehicle. That's correct. As piggyback satellites, there are 2 microsatellites. One is a 50-kilogram class satellite CESat-1E, which mounts optical sensor and it can take satellite images. Another is TIR-SAT, which is a 3U satellite, which has 3 10-centimeter squared cubes, which mounts an uncooled small thermal infrared sensor. It can take temperatures. So the open call for this was done in a very short period of time, but we were very thankful that they made it in time for this launch. So as you can see in this picture, the SLR reflector Mount Fuji, which was developed by JAXA, is mounted. The laser reflected from the Earth is measured in order to measure the exact location. So the shape is very much like Mount Fuji. That's why it's called Mount Fuji. In the live streaming today, we will confirm whether the second stage orbit injection occurred after the completion of the initial combustion of the second stage engine. We will cover up to the separation of CSAT-1E, which is the launch vehicle status can be checked real time using telemeter. After the launch failure of the first H3 launch vehicle, we have received voices of encouragement for the second H3 launch vehicle at various events. So we conducted a campaign for encouragement, and on the fairing, which is at the tip, the message is put. It says RTF, that stands for return to flight, meaning we are taking on the challenge of the launch again. There's a trick to this.
That's right. If you look at the RTF closely, you can see the little dots, and these are the messages that have been sent in. And so people working around the fairings probably saw each and every message right in front of their eyes, but these messages give a great sense of encouragement. And these messages sent in support will shortly travel to the launch, travel with the launch vehicle to the outer space. Yes, I actually sent in a message in support myself. We've also received much support from many other companies and organizations offering us words of encouragement in their websites and through various events. Thank you everyone for that. Now, I would like to show you a video of an interview with Mr. Okada, the project manager. In the video, Hori-san is asking Mr. Okada about his engagement with this project. Please take a look.
岡田さんよろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
第1回の打ち上げ、
はい、
これは本当に岡田さんご自身もいろんな思いがおありだと思いますけども、振り返ってみると、いかがでしたか？
そうですね、ロケットの打ち上げの前には本当に多くの人たちと一緒に準備を続けてきていて、打ち上げたら、何かあってもそこを修理できるわけではありませんので、もう人間ができることは本当にそれこそ、飛行を安全に中断することだけなんですね、打ち上がったら。なので打ち上げの前には、自分たちが納得してこれなら大丈夫っていうところまで徹底的にやった上での、打ち上げ、そしてその先の失敗でしたので、もう本当に信じられない思いでしたね。
その事故原因というかトラブル原因というか、この間の検証の過程において岡田さんはどうご覧になってきましたか？
はい、打ち上げの失敗3月7日でした。でその当日からもう飛行データの分析に入りまして、ただこの飛行データというのは本当に厄介なもので、数がデータの数が限られているとか、時間的の分解能も少ない、つまり飛び飛びのデータしかないわけですね。その中で何が起きたかっていうのをまず割り出していくときに、パズルを解くようにして順を追って何が起きたかを見ていくんですけども、どうしてもやっぱり最後物が現物がないので、これだっていう確信を持つところまでが本当に時間がかかりました。ロケットのこの失敗から立ち直る時っていうのはいろいろなパターンがあるんですけれども、本当に原因を突き詰めてもう明らかに証拠が出てきて、もうその一つに絞られる場合と、今回我々が取ったようにあるところまで絞ったらそこに全部網をかけて対応して、次に臨むと、ここの塩梅がすごく難しいところで、そうですね、3月の7日からちょうど 4,5 ヶ月した時にはもう出口が見えない状態で、ようやく先に光が見え始めた時にはちょっと嬉しかったですね。ただ最後10月に報告書をまとめさせていただいて、やっぱりようやくスタートラインに立ったなっていう気持ち。
この検証期間、この1年間でやはりより強くなった、より良くなった、よりアップデートされた、そう考えてもいいですか？
そうですね、やはりロケットの試験機というのは初めてのことだらけでして、もちろん地上でそれに近いことをやります。極端なことを言うと、エンジンに火がついて発射台から飛び立つ時に発射台にぶつかって飛ばないかとか、実際に飛行している中でちゃんと分離をするのかとか、全部一つずつ新しいことなんですね。で1号機は一通り2段の着火の寸前まではそれが一通り検証できたので、基本的な設計のところはまず抑えたと思います。それが2回目の時に全く同じ動作をするとは限らないです。そういう意味で、基本の設計を抑えたと。あとは原因究明をする中で、その H3 ロケットのもう少しここを良くすればさらにいいロケットになるなっていうのも見えてきているところもありますので、そこについてはその原因究明と対策とはちょっと別なラインで、少し改善を加えたこともあります。それからエンジニア自体が、この失敗から非常に多くのことを学ぶっていうのは、私もそうだったんですけれども、かなり強くなったと思ってます。 ですから、2号機はその強くなったエンジニアで良くなったロケット、これでなんとか成功につなげたいなっていうふうに思ってます。
今後の展望ですが、はい、2号機打ち上げが成功してさまざまなデータが確認できて、これからどんな未来を作っていくことになりますか？
日本というのはすごくこの信頼性の高いロケットを作るっていうお家芸のようなことがありますので、まずその自分たちの目指すロケットを仕上げるというところはまず必要だと思ってます。その後でこのロケットを成長させていく、この世の中のニーズにフィットさせていくっていうことはもう今から並行して考え始めてますけれども、日本のロケットだからこれ打ち上げてほしいなっていうようなに思っていただけるようなロケットにしていく必要がありますし、それはロケット本体だけではなくて総合システムですね、システムオブシステムズ、種子島宇宙センターも含めてここから打ち上げたいなって、打ち上げてもらいたいなっていうふうに思っていただくにはどうしたらいいかっていうのを考えていく必要があると思ってます。このロケットの目標であります安心して使っていただけるロケット、そしてそれを世界中の方に使っていただけるロケット、ここが本当にこのロケットのコンセプト、大事なコンセプトなので、それを早く実現したいなというふうに思ってます。あちこちの展示物から飛行機に出てきて、黄色のこの丸い下でグレーの子だけ赤抜けないようにする柱はそこに、上が2段のエンジンの部分がもう動けないみたいな開くんですね、スライド。
やっぱり大きいですね。いよいよ打ち上げですが、どのような思いですか
？1年かけてなんとかその気持ちを整えながら2号機にようやく集中できるような状況になってきましたので、もう一山登るという意味で再挑戦だと思ってます。一日も早くその H3 を皆さんに使っていただけるようにしたいと思ってます。頑張ってくれよっていう気持ちですね。
Hori-san, I was asking Mr. Okada about his enthusiasm towards the project in this video. Kotani-san, what did you think? Well, H3 project is one of the biggest projects in JAXA, and launch vehicle is a key to going to the outer space. So I'm sure he was under tremendous amount of pressure, and I was able to feel that working close to him, and he was trying to identify the cause, and he had to confront a lot of difficulties, but I think he had this pure thought of wanting to take H3 launch vehicle back to the central stage once again. So whether it be myself, other project managers, or everyone, I think we are all, trembling with excitement right now. It would be great to see Mr. Okada and all the project members full of smiles after the successful launch. Yes. So let's go back and take a look at the Launch Control Center LCC once again. Yes, everyone look quite relaxed. They are seated in their seats, and they are going through their confirmation work. If something is happening, then people tend to gather in those locations that they go to meeting rooms, but nothing like that right now. It seems everything progressing quite smoothly. We are also connected to this site. This is the Range Control Center, abbreviated to RCC. And what we saw before was LCC, and this is RCC, the Range Control Center. LCC is responsible for the sequence prior to the launch, but in the case of RCC, they have different role. So after the launch vehicle is launched, it's responsible for tracking the launch vehicle. And so the ground stations are on the ground with a large antenna, and they actually communicate with the launch vehicle to obtain information. That information goes to RCC and to understand the state of flight of the launch vehicle. So the monitoring is done here. And the project manager, Mr. Okada, is also stationed at the RCC, right? Yes. You can see him just in front of the flag. So Mr. Okada, the project manager, and all of the key people of the launch is also seated here. If there is a person responsible for satellite, is also located here. Thank you. We are now approaching the time of the launch. So please allow us to introduce the flight plan for today.
種子島から打ち上げられる H3 ロケット試験機2号機。ここからはそのフライトシーケンスを紹介します。まずはおよそ1分56秒後 SRB3 を分離します。そして3分34秒
So 3 minutes and 34 seconds afterwards, the fairing is separated. Then 5 seconds after 5 minutes, we will be separating first stage and second stage. And 5 minutes 17 seconds later, we'll start ignition of the second stage engine. Then after that, launch vehicle will continue on its flight, and about 16 minutes and 43 seconds later, CSAT-1E, a small satellite, will be separated, and TIR-SAT will also be separated. And in the end, the payload for confirmation of the launch vehicle evaluation payload Web 4 will be separated. Then the second stage will fall into the Indian Ocean safely, and until the completion and ignition of the second stage and the CSAT-1 separation, this will all be covered in the live stream today. So what you saw was the image of the flight sequence. And so if you'd like to introduce the countdown sequence prior to the launch briefly. And so there are a number of points that I'd like for you to focus on. The countdown has already started, and 240 seconds prior to the launch, which is 6 minutes before the launch, we start the automatic countdown sequence, which is done on a program basis. And 18 seconds prior to the launch, we will switch to the flight mode. So flight mode activated, all system preparation completed 15 seconds prior, and 6.3 seconds prior to the lift of LE9 ignition. It takes a little time for stabilization. So and then the solid rocket booster will be ignited just before the launch for the liftoff. So if you could focus on these timings. So from here, we will switch to the screen to live feed from the launch site and audio to the remote control center. Here we go.
540打ち上げ9分前です。機体は最終的な確認作業が続けられており、現在のところすべて順調との報告を受けています。
It is 9 minutes to launch and counting. H3 is undergoing its final confirmatory reviews. Currently, everything is going smoothly and going well so far.
打ち上げ8分前より打ち上げに向けた秒読みが開始されます。
We will start the final countdown at T-8 minutes.
507、506、505、504、503、502、501、500。490。480。打ち上げ8分前です。現在各系ともロケット打ち上げの最終作業を行っています。また警戒区域の安全は確認されています。
It's 8 minutes to launch. All systems are now in their final operations. The restricted area has been vacated and cleared.
450。440。 430、420、安全系準備完了。
Range safety system is go.
車上系準備完了。
Range system is go.
408、407、406、405、404、403、402、401、400。390、380、370、360、打ち上げ6分前です。現在車上の天候は晴れ、気温摂氏 14.4 度、北北西の風毎秒 1.9 メートルです。
It's 6 minutes to launch. The current weather at the launch site is fine. Temperature is 14.4 degrees Celsius. Wind is 1.9 meter per second from the northwest. The weather is still a go, and currently there is no constraint for launch.
本日の打ち上げ予定時刻は日本時間の午前9時22分55秒です。
Today's scheduled lift-off time 9:22:55 seconds a.m. Japan Standard Time.
310、309、308、307、306、305、304、303、302、301、300。打ち上げ5分前です。
It's 5 minutes to launch.
95、94、93、92、91、290、89、88、87、86、85、84、83、82、81、280、79、78、77、76、75、74、73、72、71、270、69、68、67、66、65、64、63、62、61、260、59、58、57、56、55、54、53、52、51、250、49、48、47、46、45、44、43、42、41、240、39、38、37。自動カウントダウンシーケンス開始。
Automatic countdown sequence has been initiated.
現在ロケットの管制は竹崎発射管制塔から行われています。
H3 is now operated under the command of Takesaki Launch Control Center.
19、18、17、16、15、14、13、12、11、210、209、208、207、206、2段液体水素地上油圧開始。
Pressurization process of second stage liquid hydrogen has been initiated.
97、96、95、94、93、92、91、190、89、88。1段液体水素地上油圧開始。
Pressurization process of first stage liquid hydrogen has been initiated.
打ち上げ3分前です。
3 minutes to launch.
75、74、73、72。1段液体酸素地上油圧開始。
Pressurization process of first stage liquid oxygen has been initiated.
63。機体の電源が外部から内部に切り替えられました。
The power has been switched to the internal systems.
54、53、52、51、150、49、48、47、46、45、44、43、42、41、140、39、38、37、36、35、34、33、32、31、32、33、34、35、36、37、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、39、38、
130、29、28、27、26、25、24、23、22、21、120、19、18、17、16、15、14、13、12、11、110、109、108、107、106、105、104、103、102、101、100、99、98、97、
2段液体酸素地上油圧開始。
Pressurization process of second stage liquid oxygen has been initiated.
88、87、86、85、84、83、82、81、80、79、78、77、76、75、74、73、72、71、70、69、68、67、66、65、64、63、62、61、60、
打ち上げ1分前です。
1 minute to launch.
56、55、54、53、52、51、50。
フレームデフレクター冷却開始。
Flame deflector cooling is initiated.
44、43、42、41、40、39、38、37、36、35、34、33、32、
ウォーターカーテン散水開始。
Water spray system at the launch pad is activated.
25、24、23、22、21、20、19、18、17、16、15、
フライトモードオン。
13、
Flight mode on.
11、10、
加工品トーチ点火。
Hydrogen purge igniter on.
全システム発射完了。
All systems are go for launch.
メインエンジンスタート。
Main engine starts.
SRB3 点火リフトオフ。
Solid boosters ignition and lift off.
H3 ロケット試験機2号機は2024年2月17日午前9時22分55秒に種子島宇宙センターから打ち上げられました。
We have a successful liftoff of H3 launch vehicle test flight number 2 from JAXA Tanegashima Space Center at 9:22:55 seconds a.m. on February 11th, 2024, Japan Standard Time.
打ち上げ以降ロケットの管制は竹崎発射管制塔から竹崎総合司令塔に引き継がれています。
The operation control of H3 has been switched from launch control center to range control center.
ロケットは現在東南東方向の太平洋上へ飛行しています。
H3 is now flying above Pacific Ocean to the east southeast.
打ち上げ後1分が経過しました。
It's 1 minute into flight.
67、68、69、70、71、72、73、74、75、76、77、78。
ロケットは正常に飛行中。地上局のロケット追尾状況も正常です。
The H3 flight is on course and the ground stations are tracking the launch vehicle and all is good.
91、92、93、94、95、96、97、98、99、100、101、102、103、104、105、106、107、108、109、110、11、12、13、14、15、16、17、18、19、120、
SRB3 分離。
Solid booster separation.
ロケットは現在種子島内之浦の地上局から追尾されています。
Currently, Tanegashima and Uchinoura ground stations are tracking H3.
37、38、39、140、41、42、43、44、45、46、47、48、49、150、51、52、53、54、55、56、57、58、
第1段エンジンの燃焼は正常。制御系飛行経路も正常です。
The conversion of the first stage engine, attitude control, and trajectory are all nominal.
ロケットは順調に飛行を続けています。
The H3 flight is on course.
77、78、79、180、81、82、83、84、85、86、87、88、89、190、91、92、93、94、95、96、97、98、99、200。
衛星フェアリング分離。
今衛星フェアリングの分離
So
までが確
the
認でき
satellite
ま
fairing
した
has been separated. We have been able to confirm that. And so H3 launch vehicle test flight number 2 has been launched. It's going quite steadily so far. And so the screen that you're able to see right now, and this is called the flight status indicator for public for the H3 launch vehicle, which is abbreviated to H3 FIP. And as you can see right now, the direction the launch vehicle is traveling on is shown in this line. And so we receive information from the launch vehicle and is reflected into the screen. So the information from the launch vehicle on a real-time basis is reflected into the screen. And you can see the numbers changing on top left. On top left, where you can see 10,000, this is showing the velocity, and it's velocity in terms of speed per hour, so it's quite significant. But it's about 8 kilometers per second. That is the acceleration too. And next to that is an elevation of the height, and the time is shown in the middle. And so the ignition of the first stage engine is about to be completed soon.
So the first stage engine, the separation has been successful. The initial second stage engine has been completed. So when the event occurs, you would be able to see the dots, and the event had been confirmed. So it's going steadily. So there would be some time until the initial second stage engine cutoff, 15 minutes 30 seconds. So we still have some time until the next event. So the main mission is the second stage orbit injection, meaning the initial second stage engine cutoff. When it's completed and when the data is acquired, the objective for this flight has been completed. So that is true. So as a launch vehicle, we would have been able to validate that. And using this opportunity, two piggyback microsatellites are being mounted. So the separation of these satellites is also another important mission. So after that, the CESat-1E will be separated as well. So we would like to monitor that closely. So we would like to explain to you how to look at the FIP. Kotani-san, please. So from Tanegashima Space Center, we are looking at the flight, and in the black dot, you would be able to see the events. And there will be various events, and you would not be able to see that because it's far out. When the event is close closer, you would be able to visually check it. On the upper left, you would be able to see the speed at 12,600, and it would get to 28,000, meaning that 8 kilometers per second. Altitude is 560 kilometers, so it's even higher than ISS already. And it's 7 minutes 46 seconds after the launch. So that's how you look at the FIP. So up to this point, there has been no issue. That's correct. So you see the flight route in the line. And the announcement says that it's normal and it is on the right path. So the second stage engine is working very hard right now. So last time we were not able to get there, so it's working very hard this time.
Velocity is about 3.6 kilometers per second.
So you would be able to see this soon, but on the upper left, VEP4 separation event will be shown soon, and this will go around the Earth before the separation. So I don't think that we would be able to confirm the separation during this live streaming, but there would be press conferences and also announcement on the announcement on the website about what happened to VEP4. So please look at that as well. So TIR SAT, another microsatellite. After a CE-SAT separation, about after 9 minutes, it would be separated above Australia, and we would not be able to acquire the separation signal immediately. So please check the press conference whether it was a success. So the initial second stage engine cutoff is X plus 15 minutes, so that will be about 7 minutes from now. We still have some time, so let's talk about H3.
Yes, there was an announcement, and the combustion of the second stage engine is going without a problem, and 690 kilometers above the sky right now.
Of the second stage engine, attitude control and trajectory are all nominal. The H3 flight is on course. Current altitude is about 690 kilometers. Velocity is about 4 kilometers per second.
And so there is a periodical announcement which is reassuring, and the announcement is such that everything's going well in terms of velocity and also attitude. Everything is looking quite normal right now. And let's talk about H3 a little bit. It's a great opportunity. And H2A is a launch vehicle that is highly reliable, and that is what we are operating right now. But why are we developing a new launch vehicle, H3? Why was it necessary to develop H3? Can you explain? Yes, H2A was developed quite a long time ago. And it is still very active right now, which is great. But the satellite loaded is becoming more diverse. So we have the satellite of various shapes now. And also, the market for the launch is becoming more intense. And so there is a price competition. And so the launch price has been coming down significantly. And so H3, a launch vehicle in that regard, is able to launch more in comparison to H2A. And so not just the Japanese satellite, but also obtain a satellite abroad as well. And so we need to also achieve the objective of lowering cost. And so from H2A, we have reviewed all the system. We are going to succeed the technology, but the price will be lower to about half that of H2A. So these were the challenges we have been working on. And H2A has a core in the middle, and they have the solid rocket booster adjacent to that. But H3 can be launched just based on the core, and that is one of the key points. And so, in that regard, we are able to launch the vehicle quite inexpensively, and we are able to launch just based on core. But you're able to also utilize the solid rocket booster. You can use this. You can increase it to 2 or 4, and you're also able to change the design for the LE9 engine as well from 1 to 3, and so it's quite unique. So irrespective of the weight of the satellite, we are able to change the format to match that. That is one of the unique features. And we are looking at the telemetry, and at this point in time, the flight seems to be going quite well. Yes, the speed continues to increase. It has maintained altitude, so I think it's going quite well. And in about 2 minutes' time, the second stage engine, the engine cutoff will occur. So CSAT-1E separation is upcoming. That's going to be fun. And immediately after the second stage engine cutoff, we are scheduling to separate this satellite. CSAT-1A, 1E has Mount Fuji developed by JAXA. I think you've explained that. And you're able to accurately measure the distance from the Earth to the satellite using this device. Why do we need something like this? Well, I can talk for more than an hour on that topic, so let me be brief. Around the Earth, there are space debris, and there are also active satellites as well, but there are a lot of objects, and we are monitoring everything right now, and there are about 25,000 the objects flying above the Earth in the space, which are all monitored, and you use the telescope from the ground, and confirming when they fly by. We'll put that into simulation, and we actually track how they travel. But accurate location, when you are able to understand the accurate location, then you can. So whether those are objects, we need to monitor, make sure that they don't collide with some ISS and so forth. Event is upcoming soon.
So there will be the initial second stage engine cutoff coming soon. So if this is completed, then the second stage, the orbit injection would have been successful. So
is about 694 kilometers. Velocity is about 6.4 kilometers per second.
almost there. The initial second stage engine cutoff had been confirmed, and the CSAT-1E will be separated soon. CSAT-1E have been successfully separated. So this will be the first satellite put into the second stage orbit. So it's so moving.
We will now conclude our live coverage of the H3 test flight number 2. Thank you.
So once again, the initial second stage engine cutoff was conducted successfully. So the mission was complete for second stage orbit injection. CE-SAT-1E was successfully separated. So I was so moved. And at the same time, so the evaluation has been made for the vehicle, and I feel that there are so many things that would be coming up to us, and the story of H3 will begin from today. So I hope to have the support from all of you to H3. So H3 will be standing on a new starting point. But the people who were involved in H3 launch vehicle and people who have supported this project, and I feel so happy that this became successful launch. So there were so many encouraging messages, and I felt that there were so many people who were cheering for H3. And H3 would become a launch vehicle which would be launched frequently, and I hope to have further support from everyone. So TIR-SAT and VEP4 separation, and as well as the second stage re-entry, the result of that will be brought to you by a press conference, and that would be live stream on JAXA channel. And as for the details of the press conference, you would be able to look at the website of JAXA as well as social media of official social media of JAXA. So I hope that H3 will have continued support. So Okada-san was on the images, and I was very happy to see him happy. The mission still remains, so TIR-SAT separation and VEP4 separation, and it would re-enter. So we need to wait and see what will happen. But there would be third and fourth launches, so I hope that everyone will follow us closely. So H3 will be carrying various satellites from around the world, and at JAXA there are many projects going on, so please support those projects as well. So Ypsilon S launch vehicle, which is a new type of launch vehicle, we would like to launch that soon, so please look forward to that. So H3, the second H3 launch vehicle live streaming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching us.